This is one of the most mysterious but dangerous characters in the entire show. If you talk about the embodiment of self-sacrifice, when we come to the Ghorman Massacre, that comes with political accelerationism. This really is going to be truly insane. Hello my dear friends, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to continue our discussion of Andor Season 2, and we're going to focus on the most mysterious character from the entire show. You've already seen the thumbnail, so I'm guessing you know who I'm talking about. Luthen's enigmatic and genius assistant, Kleya Marki. This isn't the first time I'm talking about her, but it certainly is in the context of Season 2, and I have some updated thoughts. In Season 1, I had a theory she might be a former handmaiden. All the signs were there. I know her age doesn't necessarily add up, but if there is a connection to Naboo, then she might have been part of Sabe's resistance, investigating Padme's death. But today, my dear friends, I have a few different ideas, and I wanted to share them with you. Not to mention we have some new comments from the actress, Elizabeth Dulau, and showrunner Tony Gilroy. So no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight in. So when it comes to Kleya, there are some theories that I like, and others that I really don't. I don't buy that she's Cassian's long-lost sister. That's a theory I see popping up all the time. I just don't buy it. Their features are very different, and I don't think it's what Tony Gilroy is setting up. What I do think is going on though, is Kleya is a secret mastermind, the real boss of Axis Group. She is dedicated and loyal to Luthen, and as Elizabeth Dulau said, to her the rebellion is everything. She might even care more about it than Luthen himself. And since the first season and even in the first 3 episodes of the new season, I'm beginning to notice how much power she really has. She's the one who controls who speaks to Luthen and when. Sometimes, like in the case of meeting Vel after Aldhani, she handles the encounter herself. And even during Leader's wedding on Chandrila, Kleya is in control of comms, and she's the one who returns to Coruscant to answer Cassian's call. She's more than just an assistant. She's the entire coordinator of the Inner Circle. So the question becomes this: who is she to Luthen? Is she his daughter? Well, according to Tony Gilroy and Stellan Skarsgård in a brand new interview with Sci-Fi Now, we find out in episode 10, in flashbacks, they tease we're gonna find out who Luthen once was, and why he knows Kleya, and the reason they're so close. There is nothing romantic between them. Is it possible Luthen saved her from a very bad situation? And if that's the case, and bear with me on this, in light of my last theory that Luthen could be Cyril's secret dad, could you imagine if Kleya was Cyril's sister? They were both the children of Edie and Luthen. Something happened, a big argument, Luthen took the girl, and Cyril was left with his mum. It's a complete long shot, a wild, crazy theory, but it's almost poetic. 2 siblings on 2 different paths. They're on opposite sides of the fight, and they've never even met, or they just don't remember each other. And because Star Wars rhymes with itself, it's a perfect opportunity for an I'm your father moment. And because her name is Kleya, which sounds like Leia, it's another sibling duo who were separated when they were very young. You probably think I'm crazy, and I'm not saying by any means they're gonna do this, but I'm so fascinated to learn their backstories in episode 10. The creators describe the flashback as a very significant moment. Let's just say the theory I poo-pooed is true, and Kleya is Cassian's sister, and in the same way the Andor couple adopted Cassian, maybe Luthen rescued a young Kerry. If that ever comes to light, I'd be surprised. I don't think that's the connection. If I'm wrong, I'll put my hands up and say, I was entirely mistaken. We also just learned it took a long time for Tony and Stellan to get on the same page of how to do the flashback, what it contained, and the kind of backstory these characters were given. It wasn't a straightforward process. Across many months, there were different iterations of the final version that we're about to see, and there were changes made in the creative process. Luthen's backstory was never really set in stone. Tony had some ideas, but there was some resistance, as well as some negative feedback. There was a backstory he originally wrote, which Stellan opposed, and Stellan said he didn't want Luthen's original motive to be revenge. So I don't necessarily buy into the theories that he's a secret Jedi, an Order 66 survivor. Luthen has a different reason for being so invested in taking down the Empire. But Tony also says, learning Kleya's origin is also the key to learning about Luthen. The two are very much interconnected, but the mystery prevails. Who was she? What is her real name? Because I'm not convinced anyone in Axis Cell is using their real identity. But there is something I noticed in Season 2 Episode 1, which I've not seen anyone mention. The deliberate nature of Vel and Kleya's interactions. There's a tension between them which originates in the first season. In Season 1 Episode 11, Vel questions what Kleya actually does. Her role is a secret, she really doesn't know. She looks at Kleya and says, "I gave Luthen Aldani, what have you done lately?" To which Kleya responds, "I don't have lately, I have always. I have a constant blur of plates spinning and knives on the floor, needy panicked faces at the window, of which you are but one of many." This piece of dialogue reveals so much. While Vel may have gone on 1 or 2 missions, Kleya is there day and night. She doesn't take a break. In effect, she is in charge of the Axis network, all of the cogs and all of the spies, everything that goes on behind the scenes. She's got eyes and ears in many different places. And while we like to think of Luthen as the boss, in truth, it's Kleya. She's the one keeping everything moving. But as you're also going to see, my dear friends, this makes her very, very dangerous. But the reason I bring this scene up is in Season 2 Episode 1, a similar interaction between the two characters happens again. At the wedding on Chandrila, Vel is confused why Luthen and Kleya are there. Obviously we now know it's because of Tay Kolma, but again, Kleya ensures the smooth operation of everything Luthen has planned. And she's so sly, so smooth, she always blends in. I think she's far more cutthroat than we assume. That being said, things aren't going to go well for them. Their involvement in the Ghorman Massacre is proof they're accelerationists. As the trailer implies, they're there to cause chaos. There's even a moment where Kleya presses a detonator and then breaks down in tears. Elizabeth Dulao does say Kleya has to make desperate decisions, ones that maybe she doesn't want to have to make. And so I wonder if Luthen is going to go down. Is Kleya going to go down with him? Are they both going to die? Elizabeth Dulao says the first thing Tony Gilroy told her before shooting Season 2 is that Kleya is the most committed person to the rebellion. The rebellion is her entire life. She doesn't get much sleep, and quote, she wakes up in the morning and she's thinking about it. She goes to work and waits her entire day. Everything she does is working towards her goal of forming a rebellion with Luthen. She can't afford to have friendships. She has to be skeptical of everyone. She can't be too polite and can't be too vulnerable. That being said, she can't make too much noise. They have to stay under the radar of the Empire. But as we're going to see, my dear friends, something is about to go wrong. In the trailer, Kleya is the one who finds out about the Death Star project, and at that point she's very frantic. Maybe the enormous weight of the Empire is finally sinking in. And according to the actress, this character is still human, and there's a moment where we see that she does have a heart. She has to be incredibly tough. But like I said, I think the Ghorman Massacre is going to change a lot of things. So my question is why she's so dedicated. Not just loyal to Luthen, but to the entire rebel cause. Even if she doesn't make it to Yavin, what's her driving motivation? How did the Empire wrong her? I guess that's what we're going to find out in Episode 10. This is another reason I kind of hope she's not Cassian's sister. There's enough going on with her and Luthen, but you might disagree. What do you guys think? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.